Thought I should um, flag the questions and some sort of answers. Was there any instance of CBRN weapons used in the Mahabharata? Can the act of Ashwatthama in the war, towards the end of the war, be compared to a nuclear holocaust, since babies in the womb were also affected? Why did Ashwatthama do this? Did not Lord Krishna and the Pandavas anticipate that a thing like this could happen? Did they have any mitigation methods? Why did the US nuke Hiroshima? What are the chances of a nuclear war in the near future? And how do international relations and geopolitics play in the whole game? Some examples of chemical and biological warfare. Do we need to create capabilities and capacities? Are we adequately prepared? India has a policy of no first use. We know Pakistan has got no such policy. What would be a mitigation strategy for India to even prevent the first use of nuke over her? If there were credible intelligence on use of adversary, what type of reaction time would be available and what measures can be taken to intercept or destroy the weapon even before it's launched? Ladies and gentlemen, all events get buried in time. Time controls, time counts the lifespan of all living beings. In the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, Arjuna asks Lord Krishna a question. He says, Vijñātum ichchāmi bhavantham adyam. I want to know who you are. And Lord Krishna replies, Kala asmi lokakshaya krita. Prabuddha lokhan samahrutum iha. Pravuttaruthe api tvam na bhavishyanti sarve ye avastitaha prati anikeshu yoddhaha. Lord Krishna says, I am time, I am annihilation, I am the source of destruction. Incidentally, Oppenheimer actually quoted this when the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In the Mahabharata, Ashwatthama invokes the Brahmastra Astra, which is a combination of revenge, humiliation, grief, rage, and psychological collapse. Do we see such leaders today who are in such mental state who could take revenge? I think we are seeing them by the day. And revenge, humiliation, grief, and create devastation is something which some of these leaders, when they assume very high positions and as they become more powerful than what they are, this is what could happen. The Mahabharata repeatedly shows prolonged war dehumanizes even great warriors. Escalation, revenge warfare, emotional decision making. And people like Ashwatthama were very highly capable warriors, traumatized by war, operating without institutional restraint, and making civilizational level decisions at large in anger. This is strategically what modern discussions talk about: psychological stress, battlefield humiliation, retaliatory escalation, nuclear command authority, and things like that. Can this be compared to a nuclear war? Yes, because the weapon effects of Brahmastra Astra are described as catastrophic, indiscriminate, long-lasting, capable of destroying future generations. Mahabharata suggests that Krishna and the Pandavas did understand this, they knew this. So what did they do? Krishna really understood Ashwatthama's nature and his intention too. And everybody knew that Ashwatthama was extraordinarily powerful, emotionally unstable under grief, and deeply attached to his father. Just compare with the leaders today. You will find very, very similar traits in some of the largest democracies of the world, who are absolutely immature, who are absolutely unstable. They say something today and it becomes the talk of the entire social media. The Pandavas faced a classic wartime dilemma: allow Drona to live and risk a defeat, or neutralize him through deception. And they chose the latter because that was for the larger good. And then it was not against civilians, it was not after sunset, not against non-combatants, not disproportionate, there were rules laid down. Compare it with what happened in Opsindur. When India targeted just the militant camps with no collateral damage, What did Pakistan do? They changed the rules of engagement. They engaged our aircrafts in our territory. And what did we do? We attacked the heart of Pakistan, and therefore the war could come to an end. And that is called, how you stop a particular, how do you carry out what is called as a de-escalation matrix. So the power matrix, the escalation matrix, and the mitigation strategies, all these. Now the question is, why did US choose to nuke Japan? Well, Germany surrendered, Japan continued, USSR was invading um, Japan, and the momentum of the Manhattan project. That was the ego of the US. And therefore, President Harry Truman later argued that the bomb actually shortened the war and saved lives overall, because they felt that a conventional war on ground would have probably had more casualties. Brahmastra, Brahmashira Astra, binding light, intense heat, environmental devastation, long term contamination. So, what are the chances that a nuclear war would happen in the near future with all this geopolitics going on? The chance of a deliberate full scale nuclear war remains low, but the chance of nuclear use through escalation, miscalculation, tactical use, of breakdown of deterrence is meaningfully higher than at any time since the Cold War. And the risk is rising because of arms control collapse. The new START treaty expired on 5th February 2026 between the US and the USSR. The NATO escalation risk, the modernization of arsenals, multipolar nuclear order, and therefore, I think it's a very, very unstable world that we are looking at, and there are very plausible nuclear scenarios in the Russia-NATO escalation from Ukraine, India-Pakistan crisis, US-China crisis over Taiwan, North Korea crisis, Middle East escalation, and the bottom line, though it is non-probable, it's no longer comfortably remote. Ladies and gentlemen, the question was, it is how many, how much time was there in when US launched? They had 7 minutes. It was 7 minutes to midnight. Today we are calling it 85 seconds to midnight, and midnight is total annihilation. 85 seconds to midnight, and therefore a tactical weapon you cannot intercept. Biological weapons, yes, there are some treaties. Chemical by far is most stable, with more than about 130 countries being part of it, and the nuclear weapons is something that we do not know what shape it will take, and therefore we need to have our. So what are the industries that would form a part of this discipline? We have detection and sensors, protective equipment, decontamination equipment, medical countermeasures, diagnostics, genomics, nuclear radiological safety, command and control, training, simulation, and therefore what we need is strategic warning, detection, response, recovery, deterrence, and attribution. Ladies and gentlemen, Kala Asmi Lokakshay Krita. Jai Hind.